Hey friends, welcome back to A Scene Rose Tarot. My name is Emily, and tonight I'm bringing you yet another pick a deck reading. I decided that tonight's topic we'd explore something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, which is developing our creative talents and gifts. And as someone with a lot of creative interests, I don't always know which creative gift or talent it's best for me to be exploring. I tend to kind of go from thing to thing at times, and sometimes I just wish I had better guidance or like a better idea of what would serve me best to be developing or to be pursuing at a particular point in time. So I'm actually gonna, with each of these piles, I'm going to kind of bring through information about what your guides are sort of gently nudging you towards in terms of a particular creative gift or skill you should be developing right now, and maybe where that creative gift or skill could take you. So with that being said, I've got three decks here that we're going to use with pile one. We have the Majestic Earth Tarot deck. Pile two is Les Nouveaux Tarot, and pile three is the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to look at these decks and figure out which one calls to you the most, and then we will head right into the reading with pile one. Hey pile one, so if you chose the Majestic Earth Tarot with a deck that looks like this, this is going to be a reading about what creative gift you should be developing and pursuing. So yeah, I have all your cards out here on the table. Obviously I have your tarot, and then I pulled three from the Literary Witches Oracle, because writing in literature is of course a creative gift. And I pulled a card from the Wild Unknown Archetypes for you. And just kind of looking at your cards, I mean, you know, I always have your overall energy as your back of the deck energy. And what we have here is the Steward of Stone, which is the Page of Pentacles normally in the tarot. And I really like this Page of Pentacles card. I mean, I love this deck as a whole. It's an absolutely gorgeous deck. But you know, this Page of Pentacles in particular has a connotation of sort of scholarship, study. You know, it says here learning. And, you know, just looking at this image, I'm really getting the sense of someone, like I'm getting the sense that there's something that you're studying right now, something that you're learning about. I'm seeing it something that you're reading about. In your own personal time, like on your own time, you're spending a lot of time doing this, and you're kind of off alone by yourself doing it. No one really knows that you're studying this thing. And I'm getting the sense that like, it's like you're reading about it and studying it alone. And there may be like a particular writer that you're reading right now or engaging with. There's some kind of like figure or creator, perhaps from history, that you're sort of just really engaging with right now. It's like there's someone that you're looking up to, that you're admiring, that you're inspired by, whether that person is living or dead. But I mean, the main thing is that you're doing this by yourself, and it's very much like kind of an immersive thing that you engage with on your own. And I mean, I heard, looking at this card, I heard the first few lines of John Keats's poem Endymion. And even if that name isn't familiar to you, when I read the lines, you'll probably know them, and they may ring a bell to you, may be significant to you. So it goes, I have to get it out on my laptop here. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness, but still will keep a bower quiet for us in a sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. So it's like, that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting here. There's like something that you're quietly studying that's giving you immense joy and peace and satisfaction, but no one else really knows about it. And again, part of the reason why I say that is because we've got this Nine of Trees here, which is the Nine of Wands. And with this tree all alone here in the snow, again, I'm kind of getting that like you feel like you stand alone in studying this thing. And I am getting like real sense it is like some kind of research, reading, study, whatever the case may be. It's like you kind of feel like you stand alone in studying this thing. No one around you is really interested in it. And again, you're not really sharing it with anybody else. You just kind of feel like you're going it alone with this interest, and you don't feel like you have a lot of support for it. You don't really feel like you're in a place where you can share your knowledge about it or communicate with anyone about it to kind of, have that be like a shared interest. It's very much something that you're doing on your own. I mean, these keywords are endurance, resilient, interlude, and defensive. So it's very like kind of solitary. Like this tree is solitary and kind of in this like wintry environment. And then with this 10 of trees, to kind of complicate that further a bit, I really get the sense that like, with this Steward of Stone or Page of Pentacles, this thing that you're studying, it's like I said, you're doing it on your own time, because I almost get the sense that you're in your like daily life, like during the day or whatever, you're almost like engrossed in studying or like working towards something else that's like it's like some kind of like practical course of study. I mean, maybe you're like, for example, this maybe is your situation, maybe it's not, like you're in college and you're working towards a certain degree program, like in business or in marketing or, maybe even like law, medical, whatever the case may be. It's like you're working towards, like your day-to-day is like not this, not whatever this is that you're studying. And it's almost like, it's like during your daily life, you're like pursuing something else that feels more like a very sort of like typical stable career type of thing, career course of study. And it feels like it's a lot of work, whatever this is. It's like, it's a lot of work. It takes up a lot of your time. It feels like kind of like responsibility, discipline. Yeah, it's some kind of a, like, it's like a less creative, I'm hearing like degree program. I'm really getting like the vibe of school. It's like you're in school, you're studying something else. It doesn't have to be school, but like whatever it is, there's something else, like a career or a degree program that's taking up most of your daily life and your day-to-day time. And then this thing that you're studying that you're really interested in is is kind of in your free time and the time that you have to yourself. And you really enjoy like kind of taking that alone time to yourself and studying it. It could even very well be that maybe you are a writer. I mean, again, I'm not getting a lot of super specific information about what this thing is. I'm just really getting the vibe of study. I mean, maybe like, again, writing is something that comes to mind, but it doesn't have to be that. So, but yeah, anyway, it's like most of your day is taken up with this other thing that you're working towards. It has more of the vibe of like a typical career. And then, but what's interesting here is like with this Two of Stone and the Rider of Water, I really feel, okay, so the Two of Stone, first of all, it's the Two of Pentacles. Rider of Water is the Knight of Cups in the typical tarot. And I'm getting the vibe that as you're studying this thing, whatever it is, in your sort of off time or downtime, it's like in the back of your mind, you might be working on this sort of 10 of Wands situation, this, program or job or whatever it is. But in the back of your mind, you're trying to kind of like construct even like a fairly hypothetical escape route to how you would get to making this passion of yours your full-time thing, or having it be something that you actually pursue like during, your major day-to-day life. It's like you're dreaming of how you could make that be, your reality, or like the sort of the largest part of your reality, because that's where your heart really is. And I think what's interesting here with this Knight of Water, I mean, it's weird how, in both of these cards you see these two, they're these two figures, and they're both kind of moving across the card from from left to right, it's like there's this sense of motion, and it's almost like I'm getting the vibe. It's like consciously you're trying to think about like logically how you would do this, how you would kind of escape. You dream about escaping from where you are now to, you know, pursuing this thing that you're studying or this thing that you're passionate about full time. But on like another like deeper level, or like almost sort of more spiritual level, it's like it's just such a strange thing. But like I'm hearing that like your spirit is almost like going on out ahead of you and like building this framework to make this physical transition like in the ether. Like I know that sounds strange, but it's almost like your it's like your higher self, or it's like you're, by thinking about this and by setting this intention, like you're actually manifesting this transition. Like you're manifesting making this like more of a part of your life, or like making this like the main thing that you do. It's like, yeah, I really get the sense that you're not sure how you do that like in the real world yet. And like, yeah, I won't say that you feel helpless. I feel like that's too strong a word, but it's like you feel a little blocked off, but like this is definitely possible for you to do. It's like you're kind of exploring it, but you haven't quite made concrete plans yet, obviously, because part of you isn't even sure that that's really a viable thing for you. But like on sort of a spiritual level, like in the sort of the spiritual plane where we, you know, create all things before they come into the physical plane, you know, when we plant our seeds to manifest, it's like you've already planted the seed, and the framework is kind of being built in the spiritual, so to speak. I mean, if you've ever heard the phrase "as above, so below," it's like, you know, it's like you're in your sort of dream life, you're already creating this for yourself, which is kind of cool. It's very interesting. And once again, with these cards, apple, toad, and mushrooms. Again, I mean, these really speak to kind of what I was saying with the Keats poem. I mean, toad is like, I get this card a lot. I don't even know why. It's like, toad talks about like, it can talk about like humor and joy. And I'm getting the sense of joy here. Whatever this is that you're studying or learning about, you know, when your imagination is allowed to kind of run wild here, it's like it brings you a lot of joy, and kind of like lightens you up a little bit, because I think this 10 of Wands here, obviously, whatever it is that you're studying or working on most of the day is kind of like a heavy thing. Like it's, you know, it's not so lighthearted, it's not so fun. But yeah, this other thing gives you a sense of fun. And with the mushrooms, it's like, it's kind of hidden. Like I said, it's like you're off in this walled garden. And the mushrooms card talks about things that are kind of like done in the quiet and kind of like hidden spaces. And that's like, you know, it's like this solitary woman here reading in this garden alone. Yeah, it's something that you pursue alone that like gives you a real sense of peace and joy when you do it. And then with the apple, I mean, just talks about, the apple just talks about creativity. You know, it talks about like kind of hunger and passion. Yeah, so I mean, it's like, it's feeding a creative drive. I don't have such a handle on this, but I will say that like it is very interesting how, in this this sort of Steward of Stone card, we do have like this sort of like red, almost looks like a cape or a blanket here laying on the grass next to the woman, and apples are usually red. And I do have to say, one of the associations of this card is sex. So I don't know, and I like of the red, it's like, I don't know if there's something, if that resonates with you, it resonates. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If there's something like romantic or like, you know, related to that you're studying. I mean, if not, it's literally just talking about, I mean, you know, when I sort of like passionate energy, you know, like one of the ways that we sort of sublimate our sexual energy or our sort of like sacral chakra energy is through our creative pursuits. And so, you know, it's just saying that like whatever this is, it's coming from like a deeply creative place within you, which is obviously a positive thing. And then of course with this agape card, I mean, this is a really, within the archetypes deck here, I mean, the agape, It's one of the more powerful cards in this deck. It's like one of the major, like main sort of overarching spiritual energies. And agape is, of course, the energy of universal love, of unconditional love, of like divine spiritual love. I mean, if you read, like, sort of, if you talk about the types of loves that the ancient Greeks recognized, I mean, there's, of course, Eros being romantic love. I mean, if you think about kind of like our maybe more egoistic level love, that's kind of like romantic love, Eros, and then agape was sort of like their highest form, which is like true, it's like true unconditional love, the kind of love that, that God shows us as spirits. And I think what this is here to say is that, whatever this is that you're doing or studying, again, I mean, this whole entire reading is just confirming that it is part of your purpose, basically, that it is, you are going to be led further into it, and led to make it a larger part of your life. It's connecting you to like this sense of universal love, and like when you fully pursue it, like when you fully kind of I guess like embody what it's leading you to embody, like you'll be connected to kind of this network of people who are radiating universal love because they're expressing like their true passions, they're expressing what lights them up. And of course, whenever you start really sharing and really acting from a place of like pursuing your passions and doing what lights you up and what makes you happy and what like inspires you as a soul, like it's the greatest possible thing that you could do, not only for yourself but for all of your fellow human beings, because it's you're allowing God's light, right? You're allowing God's light, or the divine's light, to shine through you, right? Which is like when you see these candles lit up here and these stars, it's like this passion, when you express it out into the world, is going to amplify the energy of agape, which is, the most universal and sort of like highest vibe form of love, kind of. It's like compassion. I mean, I want to say brotherhood almost, but like, that's philos is sort of the Greek term for brotherhood in contrast to agape. But like, it's like this just very unconditional universal love. And that's kind of whatever it is that you're studying. I mean, I get the sense that you feel a little bit unsure about it, because again, you feel like maybe you have to kind of hide it away, or like you're alone in appreciating this thing. But I mean, they're saying that like once it becomes a greater part of your life and you're able to really express it in the world, like it will allow you to connect with many, many people and touch the hearts of many people, and really radiate that unconditional love in the world, and light other people up, and help serve others, which is a really beautiful message. So, and again, like I said, it's kind of odd. It's like this, I did this reading like, oh, what's the creative gift that you need to pursue? And like, I think they're not giving me a lot of super specific answers in this particular case here, because I think it's going to be different things for different people. And I think like if you're resonating with this reading, like what it is, like what you've been working on, what you've been studying, what your passion is. So I don't have to tell you, oh, here's a particular thing you should explore. Like you're already exploring it. And whoever this, like if there's a particular person or like writer or philosopher or figure who inspires you, like, that like energy, or that body of knowledge or person has come into your life for a reason, because they're supposed to like light something up in you. So that's what I've got for that. So what I'm going to do, the last thing I'm going to do actually, is I'm going to pull 3 more tarot cards, just as like a last message to kind of maybe start to give a picture of where this creative talent, or where this sort of creative pursuit, or subject is taking you. Like I said, with this this Knight of Cups, Rider of Water card, what, on a higher level, what is your higher self kind of intending for you here? So we're gonna pull 3 more cards just to get a sense of that, and then I will be able to leave you with that, I think. So let's see, 1, 2, 3. Alrighty. All right, so we've got, oh wow, the 10 of Water, which is the 10 of Cups, the 8 of Stone, and the Rider of Trees, which is the Knight of Wands. I mean, wow. So yeah, I mean, I feel like it doesn't get like more clear than this in a certain sense. I mean, what they're saying is continue, first of all, continue studying and continue focusing on this thing, whatever it is that you are so passionate about, and that you get so much joy and peace and happiness from kind of pursuing on your own. Like, continue to work on it, first of all. And second of all, continue to set the intention that you're going to find a way to transition into this thing, like in your 3D reality, like in your physical life. I know that, it's like you feel like you've tried to do the right things by picking a solid career or like degree program or whatever it is. Like, you've kind of tried to do the right thing and set up a solid foundation for yourself, but they're saying like, keep intending that you're going to find this escape route to sort of, make your passions your life, essentially, kind of make your, and if this is like a career, to kind of transition into pursuing your passion, or creating a way to kind of like earn money from, monetize this passion, make it your career. Because when you do that, it's like this sense of flow, right? I mean, it's because, again, here, the 8 of Stone, this is the 8 of Pentacles. So productivity, labor, handiwork, and craft. So working at this thing, and it could be a situation where, like, you've identified something that you're really passionate about and you're studying it, but you're not like practicing it a whole lot yet. It could be something like kind of preliminary that you've identified that you really love, that you like sense some potential in, but you don't know a whole lot about yet in terms of like really having mastered it. But they're saying like, eventually you're gonna, like, when this becomes something that you're doing full time. Yeah, I'm hearing the word full time. When this becomes something that you're doing full time, it's like you're gonna get into this flow state. It's the type of thing, like if you've heard of like the flow state where, it's like you can be doing something for like 3 hours and it feels like 5 minutes have passed. It's like where time just kind of gets completely suspended because you're so engaged in what you're doing. Hopefully you've felt that kind of flow state before when you're obviously it's almost always when you're involved in something creative or something that like just really engages all of your senses and engages your your passion and your emotions and your concentration, your dedicated focus. And they're saying, yeah, this is going to give you so much happiness and fulfillment. This is the 10 of Cups card. The 8 of Stone is like feeling really proud and gratified in what you're doing, and feeling a real sense of purpose in what you're doing. Feeling that by doing this thing, you're really giving back to the world and creating things that other people can use and enjoy and benefit from, for sure. Connecting you with other people. Because of course, you see this like kind of stonemason here building, a house or a structure for somebody. And then this Rider of Trees card, of course, the Knight of Wands is just this sense of like passion. It's a fire for life, right? It's like, obviously I think this 10 of Wands, 10 of Trees, whatever it is, isn't really connecting with your passion for life, right? Your sense of like inner vitality. It's not connecting with that. And so, when you find a way to make your your passion, when you cross this bridge and get to a place where you're able to just kind of be fully engaged with this, like most of the time, your quality of life is just going to dramatically increase, basically, is what they're saying. And you will get there. Like, you'll absolutely get there. I think that's part of what your soul wants to experience, what your guides certainly want you to experience. And yeah, it's a really beautiful thing. And I mean, I think the last thing I'll say is that, I love this Eight of Pentacles card, because in the background you see these like beautiful, they're almost like cathedrals kind of, or churches. And it's like this idea, and it's kind of cool how you have this guy in the front, these workers that are laying this sort of stone foundation. And of course, these cathedrals here came from a stone foundation just like this, that these people are building. And it's this idea of like legacy, right? Because, it's when you pass on, it's like you can't take anything with you, but obviously you leave things behind in terms of the amazing like resources and products, creative works that you've created for others, that like stay behind and that continue to influence people and help people and inspire people. And they're saying that like that's what you'll be doing when you move into the space of really like living your passion and expressing your gifts full time, is like, that's building a legacy for you and creating like what your soul came here to create. So that is a really beautiful message. I'm going to leave you with that. And I hope that was helpful. So yeah, if you enjoyed this reading, please hit the like button and feel free to subscribe if you want to see more of my upcoming content. If you ever feel called to seek a personal reading from me, like as you're watching more of my videos, I have that link in the description box. So it was definitely great to bring through these messages for you, and I look forward to seeing you at my next video. Thank you. Hey Pile 2, so if you chose the Le Nouveau Tarot deck, the back that looks like this is your reading about what creative gift you should be, or your guides are encouraging you to pursue or develop at this time. And so this one is a very interesting message, because it's not a typical, what you would think is a typical creative gift at all, actually. Nevertheless, it is an incredibly creative gift, and a gift that's like desperately needed at this time, actually, at least in my estimation. But I guess I'll just start with your overall energy, which was your bottom of the deck energy. And here, this is the King of Swords. When we think of the King of Swords, obviously one of the first things that we think of is the concept of speaking the truth, just being completely solid and convicted in your truth, and also asserting boundaries. So it's kind of like, this combination. You definitely have this ability to speak truth and to assert boundaries, but more so than you just speaking your truth and asserting boundaries, which I'm getting is something that you've probably learned how to do through your own, kind of experiences throughout life, and be difficult experiences that taught you this particular lesson. What your guides are really highlighting is your ability to help others feel safe to speak their truth, and your ability to get other people to communicate with one another in a way that kind of mediates disputes and helps people understand one another, and helps other people kind of like feel safe to broach their disagreements in a way that like is helpful for everybody. This is a very specific message. Maybe it will resonate, maybe it won't, but I mean, it's just really interesting here, because we've got 2 3s, and then we've got a 2 and the Justice card. And of course the Justice card is 11. 11, even though you don't usually reduce master numbers, it does reduce to a 2. And so it's like we've got 2 3s together and kind of like 2 2s together. It's a very kind of like energy of like balance and cohesion. And these 2 3 cards, we've got the three of Pentacles and the 3 of Cups. And again, it's like I'm getting this real sense that it's almost like, it's like, I don't know if you like to throw parties or have social events, but it's almost like you have this gift or you have this energy that like when you like throw parties or host social events, it's like there's this energy field around you where people come and you make them feel so at ease, and there's such like a good vibe at the event that like even when people disagree, it's like there's this energy where they're able to see one another's differences and kind of like peacefully work things out between them. It's like I don't really quite know how else to how to kind of express it, because it's like, yeah, because like the three of Cups obviously refers to having a good time, to parties. You literally see someone here with like a drink in their hand. The 3 of Pentacles is collaboration, working together. Like flowers kind of give me the idea of like parties and fun as well. And you have the Justice card and the 2. This is actually the 2 of Wands. What's really interesting about this 2 of Wands card is it almost gives you more of a 4 of Wands vibe, because we've got these hands here that are like kind of intertwined. It's this like, again, this message of collaboration, people working together, unity. And then with the 2, it's like, again, the sense of balance, which is of course the same with the Justice card, which has like connotations of, yeah, like fairness, balance, equality. It's just this energy of creating a space where people can share in a way that makes that makes them feel safe, and that allows them to like work through differences or disagreements in a way that ultimately like kind of empowers everybody. Maybe you know this about yourself, maybe you don't. Maybe friends have told you that you are a really good mediator, or that you provide a really like safe environment, safe container for people. Yeah, it's like, and I think again, this is really supported with, okay, these are actually, these 3 cards that I pulled for you, these are from the Literary Witches Oracle deck, which I was using because, writing is of course a creative gift. But so we've got White Dress, Wall, and Toni Morrison, which is power. The card sort of message is power. And I don't know if you know who Toni Morrison is, but I mean, she's a very, very well known, very well respected American writer who continues to write about, African American issues and stories. But this white dress in this oracle deck can mean it does have a sort of connotation of like society. It makes me think of like parties. And if you think about, I don't know if you're familiar with Lenormand cards at all, but kind of like the garden card, like the garden card in Lenormand, which is about like public spaces, parties, and gatherings, which again, like this 3 of Pentacles with these flowers makes me think of the same type of thing, social spaces, social events. This white dress speaks to that energy. Wall, again, like the sense of like boundaries, and it's interesting because with this wall, it's like you create this safe container for people, but yet you also help them bring their own walls down. It's weird. It's like you create this place where it's safe for people. It like allows people to feel safe in being vulnerable, and it's like they still feel like their boundaries are being respected, but yet they're able to kind of share, share of themselves in order to kind of create greater understanding between people who may have differences. So that's a really beautiful thing. And then, of course, this Toni Morrison with the message of power, really, again, echoing the message of kind of the Justice card, right? pursuing justice in society in whatever form that kind of takes for you. Yeah, just a really, really empowered energy, and the energy of like speaking truth and knowing that the truth comes from like sort of a divinely guided place within you. And that's, again, like, this varies, the Toni Morrison Power card has a very similar energy in some ways to the King of Swords. It's someone who's very empowered in speaking their truth and in, pursuing and talking about concepts and issues relating to justice. I mean, another thing I heard when I saw this card, and this is a concept that I think a lot of people associate with the King of Swords is lawyer. So maybe you are a lawyer, or you're pursuing law, or just kind of like the idea of like justice and like mediation kind of appeals to you. Yeah, it's like this real mediator energy that I'm hearing for you. But like beyond that, it's like it's mediation, but it's like a mediation kind of like in a social context, and it's like allowing people to gain greater understanding of one another in places where they're also kind of like enjoying themselves and having fun almost. It's like allowing people to be at ease while they're expanding their perspectives and like developing greater empathy and compassion and like respect for others. And kind of what lastly underscores that message is, of course, you got this card from the Wild Unknown Archetypes deck, which is the Temple. And with this card, like I hear the words safe space, and I know sometimes it gets like the phrase gets like overused, or people have like different kinds of feelings about it, but yeah, I mean, it's this concept of sanctuary, where like a temple or like a church or any kind of place like that. It's a place where like the presence of God dwells, right? That where the presence of the divine is, or you go to pray and to experience like the presence of God. And it's like when you create this space where people feel both safe to be vulnerable and like safe in terms of having their boundaries respected, it's like you create that kind of energy. Like you create a place where where the divine and where the sort of like universal and like God-like energy is present. And that's like a special creative gift that you have, whether you know it or not. Again, it's super interesting. I mean, I'm really happy this came through because it's so needed right now, in a time where especially, and I live in the United States, where people are very divided and very kind of entrenched in these sometimes distorted opinions about, or distorted ideas about people who are different from them. And it's like very rare, honestly, now that we see different types of people like opening to one another and really looking to kind of understand each other from like a place of good faith. And I think that that's something that you have the potential to create and to encourage. And I think that that's like incredibly valuable. So, I mean, absolutely, keep developing this creative gift of yours. I really, I'm sending you like lots of good energy and, just, supporting your success in doing this. And so, lastly, I'm just going to bring through 3 more tarot cards to kind of get a sense of where this gift might be taking you if you choose to continue to pursue it. Just kind of get some future energies and some, guidance around where you are going with this. And I think that's what I'm going to leave you with. But yeah, I'm just going to pick 3 more cards here. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so we've got the 4 of Cups, the King of Cups, and the 9 of Wands. it's like, yeah, I'm hearing like seeding other social collectives. It's like, it's almost that, yeah, so with this Four of Cups card here, I mean, the Four of Cups has come to be a card for me that kind of represents what you would call like atomization. So it's like, this kind of, it is kind of a contemporary and modern concept where people feel kind of isolate, like people get kind of like, it's like the energy of like sitting in your dark room alone with your phone. And it's like, it's like where people feel really isolated from one another in a physical sense. And it's like they get really caught up in kind of digital echo chambers and like cut off from like real nourishing community kind of, right? And it's like, yeah, it's like you see these tears here. It's just this like real, yeah, I'm hearing like isolation, atomization. Like this is a big thing that we're dealing with right now as a society that's like very detrimental. And with this like King of Cups, it's almost like, it's like I get the sense that it's like it's like I'm seeing you over here kind of like almost like on top of the world, like this like really compassionate person. And again, showing up as a king, someone who's kind of definitely taking a leadership role, embodying, empowered, healthy masculine energy, whether you're, male or female. It's like someone who's kind of like on top of the world, like, in the world, like communicating with a lot of different people. And then, like I said, I'm hearing seeding other social collectives. So it's almost like, and like, I don't know, I've definitely heard of this concept before of like kind of the honeybee or the pollinator. And that's actually like people who throw parties or people who kind of create environments for other people to connect and interact. I've heard them referred to before, like one of the roles that they play in society is like pollinators. And I, like in the way that bees kind of pollinate flowers and bring like fertilization, across like gardens and, communities and stuff like that. And it's like you almost like arrange connections and arrange like light bulb moments for people that actually enables the people that you're like connecting together to go out and create their own communities and their own collectives. And it's like it's like you're like this like ringleader of like an international network of like positive connections and communities. Yeah, it's like there's just like, it's like this sort of like, I'm hearing like satellite tower, like beaming information out around the world. And you've got these dogs, which of course, like symbols of like loyalty, friendship, relationships. Like this guy kind of, it's like, this figure reminds me of like a newsboy. It has almost like a newsboy cap on. So it could be like news and media that's somehow involved here. But yeah, it's just this idea of connecting people like across cultures, across ideologies, across bounds, and getting them into like networks that like spread positive information and like catalyze positive action. And they're saying that like you're kind of like at like the, I don't know if center is even the right word. It's more that like you can just like you can be credited with helping all of these things and these like this positive ripple effect of energy to develop. And that's all because you gave people a space to like have conversations, have like really important conversations, in a place where they didn't feel threatened, or like the place where they felt safe to kind of be themselves and like we're having a good time. Yeah, it's almost like, yeah, it's like your gift is organizing social events that allow people to make connections and have real like substantive conversations that lead to like more connection and communication and change. Yeah, so that's what I have for you. I mean, these are all really, really great things. And I definitely, yeah, obviously I won't personally be able to see it, but I'm wishing you all the best in creating these like connections and environments and, yeah, positive effects in the world. So amazing, amazing, amazing stuff. Pile 2. So if you enjoyed this, please feel free to leave a like or subscribe if you want to see my future videos coming up. If as you continue to kind of watch my videos and look at my content, if you ever want to seek a personal reading from me, I will have that link in the description box. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in for this, and I hope to see you at my next video. Hey Pile 3, so if you chose the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot that looks like this, yeah, this is your reading about what creative gift you should be pursuing or developing right now. And I have to say, just looking at these cards, I got hit immediately with like a pretty specific message. And I mean, I'm thinking, hopefully it can be interpreted in a number of ways, depending on who's watching this and what you're doing. But like, I get a really strong vibe that at least some of you want to write children's stories or like make some kind of like creative content or like storytelling, something for children. Because, again, well, I guess I would start with your overall energy, but I actually think I'm going to start maybe here with these cards. So these are actually cards from the Literary Witches Oracle. We have Braid, Eye, and Doll. And yeah, the doll, first of all, that this talks very much about childhood, about childhood playthings, children. Eye and Braid. So Eye is like you just think of like the wide eyes of a child, kind of, it's like, and like when I really heard like children's stories, saw like children's storybooks, and like the energy, like when a parent is reading to a child and they're kind of taking everything in, it's this energy of like a young person just like absorbing and learning everything and kind of just like taking in the world. It's this just very open energy, just like seeing everything for the first time. And then Braid, this card, well, first of all, when you see Braid, it's like you think of pigtails, which also makes you think of childhood. And the braid is about like identity, and so it's like there's something that you're doing like with these stories or whatever content it is that you want to create for children. It's like it helps them kind of navigate forming their identity in the world, which I think pretty much any kind of children's story does, right? I mean, I personally was obsessed with fairy tales as a young child. I mean, I read, children's storybooks all the time. I read many, many fairy tales, which is part of the reason why I love tarot so much, is because I just like absorbed, all these archetypal stories that really became, part of my understanding of the world and like my identity and all that kind of thing. And I think it's like you're creating some kind of content, whether that be, children's books or maybe even games or, some other type of thing that's like helping children learn about the world in a really positive way. And so, of course, what's kind of cool here is just moving on to these tarot cards, like your overall energy, which is your back of the deck energy, is the Queen of Wands, which is one of my favorite cards in the deck, as I am a feminine energy fire sign. But yeah, I mean, just this, because yeah, the Queen of Wands is like an immensely creative figure. And of course, with the fire energy, one of the most kind of like fun-loving and like childlike energies. Well, I won't say like childlike, but she's like a sort of childlike spirit, right? Like a very creative, passionate, happy sort of like inner spirit. And this is, I think, one of the things that like I can particularly commend about you is that the fact that you want to do this and the fact that you have a gift for this means that you're really in touch with your inner child. And that's like super positive, because we all, many of us really struggle with that, getting disconnected from that energy, having that energy be wounded and, having problems expressing it. And of course, like when we get separated from our inner child, we get separated from our like vitality and creative energy, right? Because like we're in our most sort of creative state when we're children and we haven't absorbed some of the conditioning and traumas that we end up absorbing. So it's possible you've done a lot of that work and maybe you've reconnected with your inner child, or maybe you just like never lost that sense of kind of childlike wonder. And that is a really special thing, because that's a challenge for a lot of people, and definitely something that we need more of in the world. So that's pretty amazing. And then what's like kind of fun here is like, we have, again, with this energy of children, we have these 2 page cards, the eight of swords and then the moon. And so again, pages, many times, like more often than not, like pages like make me think of children, right? These are the sort of youngest court cards. These are people who are like just beginning to master the different, energies of the elements, or, they're sort of starting out on their journeys with these elements, like the Page of Cups, learning about emotions, learning about feelings, compassion, empathy. And the Page of Swords, which like the energy of this card like makes you think of someone who's like speaking their truth and like fighting and like standing up for themselves and like learning to pick their battles and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, just like learning, like kind of the energy, like learning how to be in the world and like helping children learn how to be in the world and how to, make their way in the world and learning right from wrong, all of that kind of stuff, like really positive things to be teaching kids. And then, what's really cool is like with this eight of swords and the moon, it's kind of this idea that like you're writing stories that help children learn how to overcome obstacles and face their fears, right? Because the Eight of Wands card is always a card that talks about overcoming limiting beliefs and the idea that you can't do something, that there are like all these things in your way that are preventing you from doing something. Just really this energy of overcoming obstacles by learning how to, optimize our thoughts and to think positively and believe in ourselves. And, the moon being a card that oftentimes represents fear, represents the unknown. Maybe for some of you, I even just heard like helping children learn how to process the concept of death, which is like a really heavy thing, but maybe that resonates with some of you. And again, it doesn't have to be a thing where you're like literally scaring children, but like just the idea that like, that things end, that things go in cycles, giving children a taste of what it means to kind of do shadow work and confront our fears and confront the sides of us that like, we're not always so happy about facing. Because the world is obviously a scary place for children. And, one of the most important psychological and developmental tasks that children need to learn how to incorporate is how to like, sort of safely and confidently face our fears and learn how to go through that process of stepping beyond our limitations because we're ready to confront the things that scare us. And maybe in many cases even learn that the things that scare us aren't really that, so scary after all, once we kind of face them. It's like, when you hear about like, I'm sure you've probably heard about the idea of like the nightmare where something is chasing you and it seems really scary, and then you turn around and you realize that it like really wasn't anything, that, it was just like, that turning around and facing it basically took away its power. So just kind of that idea. This just really like, this is just giving me such good vibes. The idea that you write these stories that, I'm hearing the word hero's journey, that like just teach kids how to, overcome obstacles and advance in life, and also how to be true to themselves and be compassionate and know right from wrong. That's, these are the basic jobs of children's literature, right? Like, and content that we produce for children. This is really good stuff. So, and of course, as if the message wasn't clear enough, when I pulled you, I got your archetype card from the Wild Unknown Archetypes. You got the Mother, which again, very much related to children. to, nurturing children, caring for children, helping children grow up safely, and, helping, like reassuring them that they're loved. Just a beautiful energy. And I mean, yeah, like I'm really getting a sense that you're doing something for children, but I mean, if this doesn't totally resonate, it could be like inner child healing for adults, something that helps awaken the inner child that's been like wounded in adults and kind of reparent, and like connect with the parts of us that got, that were, it's like if we were ever like wounded in such a way that it like hurt our ability to like believe in ourselves, basically. If we stop believing in ourselves as children, it's like, giving that child inside a hug and saying like, you can do it, and it's possible to get over these fears and limiting beliefs that maybe were pushed on you when you were young and vulnerable and weren't able to kind of know any better, or like have a sense of discernment the way that we're able to do now. So yeah, that's definitely that's what I have for you. But so the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring through 3 more tarot cards just to get a sense of where this creative gift may be taking you, like kind of what, what's in store if you can continue to pursue this, or, really kind of dig into this creative talent that you have. So I'm going to pull 3 more cards and see what message comes through on that. Okay, got the Knight of Cups, the Queen of Cups, and the 2 of Wands. Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is that I'm not almost getting that this is really, like, it's almost like this isn't about you as much as it's about the children that you'll be affecting. It's an interesting message. I mean, so we've got this Knight of Cups, and we started out here. We also have the Page of Cups. And if you kind of think of the progression of the Page to the Knight, I mean, these are people who are very much in touch with their hearts, right? I mean, this is someone who's going to go out into the world in a very compassionate way because they learned right from wrong, and they learned how to stay connected to their emotions as children. And this is kind of the gift that your work is going to give to the kids that are like exposed to it at a young age. It's like they're going to grow up and be able to go out in the world and kind of like pursue their passion and just be really kind, empathetic people. And I think, with this 2 of Wands, it's like they'll have a real sense of positivity and possibility, because, like a real sense of positivity and possibility because they learned how to get over this, these sort of 8 of Swords thoughts and, limiting beliefs, and how to face their fears. And like have a sense that anything and everything is possible for them, right? It's this like real sense of like, yeah, it's like these young adults who now feel like really capable in the world and know that they can do anything they put their minds to. And this Queen of Cups, yeah, it's like it's hard. It's like I guess I'll just say there are 2 messages that I'm getting. I mean, it's quite possible, especially with this doll energy, that you feel called to write stories for young girls, or like maybe there's some kind of like helping to empower and educate young girls, some type of idea, or passion you have around that. And then this Queen of Cups energy is like really balanced, sort of empowered, capable women going out into the world that have been affected by the work that you're doing, you know, creating these like sort of compassionate female leaders, and helping to kind of seed that energy in the world. I think that's one thing that I'm hearing. And then the other thing that I'm hearing is that this could very well also kind of be you and connecting with this mother energy, right? So, you know, this motherly energy and the Queen of Cups energy are, you know, basically the same. They're very similar. And yeah, just this idea that you very much carve out a place for yourself in this field, you know, maybe of children's literature or whatever it is that you're doing, and you become very well known and well respected and just kind of like an inspirational figure and energy for people who are like connecting with children. I mean, it's just, yeah, just this, the fact that you've become well known for what you're doing and you kind of leave your mark on the world, and that sort of, it's like she's kind of touching this, this is technically called like a monstrance. It's kind of a weird word. It's like this is like her legacy, you know, she's built it. She's well respected and well known for what she does, or I guess I really should say that you're well respected and well known for what you do in you know, creating these amazing creative works for children that really help kids grow up well, you know, contribute to this sense of possibility, make the world a better place by just amplifying the energy of possibility and of kindness in children. Kindness, morality, well-being. Yeah, it's just helping kids grow up well. And I mean, I'm hearing also it's quite possible that maybe you didn't have the greatest childhood. You know, maybe this is a gift that you want to give to the world because you know, maybe you weren't treated well as a child, or you didn't have some of these role models that, you know, gave you these lessons and these gifts that you now want, you know, this wisdom and love that you want to share with kids so that, you know, they feel loved and nurtured and cared for, and they grow up well and have opportunities to, you know, to do that kind of stuff that maybe you didn't. So yeah, I mean, this is a really beautiful energy, actually. I'm really happy this came through. I mean, I certainly wasn't, not that I was like expecting any particular message, but this is like a really lovely one in particular. So yeah, I think I'm going to leave you with that, pile 3. So at any rate, if you enjoyed and resonated with that reading, please hit the like button or give me a subscribe if you want to see more of my upcoming readings and content. You know, if as you continue to watch my videos, you're interested in seeking a personal reading from me, you can do that via my Etsy, and I will leave that link in the description box. So yeah, I'm glad you stopped by to watch this reading today, and I hope to see you at my next video.